It was such a freak accident. And even as I listened to the details from my guest on the program, it sounded like it was cut straight from a horror story. The 5th of November 2021 was devastating for all of us in Abuja, especially those along the Kubwa axis. And the worst part of this story is this entire accident was 100% preventable. We'll talk about this in our interview segment. Our focus this week is a step-by-step description of what happened in Kubwa on November the 5th and the ripple effects it's having on all those involved. And as we do every week, we give you our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. It's been quite an eventful week, but don't take my word for it. Here's a wrap-up of front-burner stories from Nigeria's seat of power.
This week, President Muhammadu Buhari spent most of the week in Paris, France, where he held several meetings. He arrived on Tuesday and he delivered a keynote address at a high-level Nigeria International Partnership Forum on Wednesday. Later on the same day, he had a working lunch with French President Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee Palace. The next day, Thursday, he had bilateral meetings with Chairman of Total, Mr. Patrick Poyani. The meeting was also attended by the Minister of State Petroleum, Chief Temipre Silva, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyema, and the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mr. Mele Kyari. Later in the day, he met with the President of Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman Al-Jazar, alongside the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Onyema, and Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Pantami. He continued his visit to France on Thursday evening by attending the opening ceremony of Paris Peace Forum, where he delivered a remark. Aside from President Macron, the forum was also attended by U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and President of Estonia, Hala Karis. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, also had a couple of diplomatic engagements. First, he was in Abidjan, the capital of Côte d'Ivoire, where he represented Nigeria at the second session of the Niger-Côte d'Ivoire Binational Commission, where several agreements were signed. He also met with President Ouattara at the Presidential Palace. Secondly, Professor Osinbajo also represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the emergency ECOWAS meeting on the political situation in Guinea and Mali. The meeting was held in Accra, Ghana. The Vice President also virtually delivered a keynote speech at the 4th Impact Investors Foundation annual convening on impact investing. The event was held in Lagos. Professor Osinbajo presided over the All Progressives Congress caucus meeting on behalf of President Buhari. At the meeting, APC governors maintained concern over the direct primaries, affirming that the president as the head of the party will make the final decision. African governments must look inward to enact policies aimed at tackling the continent's challenges. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, stated this at the 51st Conference of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association.
The African Free Trade Agreement is an opportunity for us to grow regional value chains, including by boosting infrastructural investments and upscaling our payment systems. There is no reason why the current encouraging share of manufacturing in intra-African trade cannot be further increased by improving transport links in particular.
Professor Osinbajo was also at the annual Divine Commonwealth Conference in Abuja, organized by the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. He used the opportunity to charge the church to use its message to transform the society. The Vice President received the World Bank Managing Director for Development Policy and Partnerships, Dr. Mari Pangestu. They discussed issues of climate change and energy access. The Federal Executive Council has approved the 2021-2025 National Development Plan with an investment size of 348.7 trillion naira. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this after the virtual meeting chaired by the Vice President that a 5-year plan which succeeds the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan ERGP that expires in December 2021 is structured around 6 concepts.
These clusters include economic growth and development, infrastructure, public administration, human capital development, social development, and regional development. And also, the plan has been costed to have an investment size of 348.7 trillion over the 5-year period. This investment size is to be contributed by the public sector at 49.7 trillion, representing 14.3%, and the private sector at 298.3 trillion, representing 85.7%. The National Development Plan 2021 to 2022 has been approved today by the Federal Executive Council for implementation as a successor plan to the elapsed Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2020.
The National Assembly has passed the harmonized version of the Electoral Act Management Bill, which empowers the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to determine the procedure for voting and transmission of results during an election. It also approved direct primaries for aspirants to all elective positions. Over 3,000 inmates who have escaped from various prisons across the country are still at large but will be apprehended soon. This is according to the Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, who disclosed this at a media briefing organized by the presidential media team.
All the criminals that feel they can at will test our will as a government will ultimately face their comeuppance and justice will catch up with them. Take that as an assurance for me.
The police have arrested 14 persons who allegedly laid a siege to the home of a Supreme Court Justice, Justice Mary Odili. The suspects include a suspected fake police officer, a journalist and an Islamic scholar.
Welcome back. Tragedy struck in Kubwa village on Friday, November the 5th. A very busy evening as usual in that axis. An explosion, a scream, another explosion, then death. What happened? Who dropped the ball? Is justice needed? Is it even possible to get justice? What do you do with a freak accident? Please watch this.
At about 6:45 p.m. on Friday, November the 5th, a loud explosion was heard around the Kubwa village market in Buhari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. A kerosene tank had exploded at a shop near the main market, leading to a huge fire. Some small businesses and their owners were not spared. Eyewitnesses say firefighters were promptly on the scene to put out the fire and prevent an escalation. Unfortunately, 10 lives were lost in the incident. 5 died on the spot, and the remaining 5 died at the National Hospital. Those that lost their lives include a pregnant woman and 2 children from one family. By morning, the extent of the damage is clear as security agents and emergency responders cordon off the area. The explosion relocated the tank from here to the top of this structure, damaging a nearby building.
All the first responders were on ground. We had the FCT Fire Service Kubwa Station, Asokoro Station and Zuba. We all turned out. NEMA was here, FCT Emergency Management Agency, the police, civil defense, road safety, we were all on ground. And we were able to control. Without the fire service being on ground, all these buildings would have gone down because it was an explosion of a kerosene tanker. That was what happened. When the explosion happened, so far, we have recorded 6 deaths. The bodies have been taken to the mortuary. We have 8 people in Kubwa General Hospital. They are receiving treatment.
It was one of these electrical cables that cut off and then fell inside a container containing kerosene. So it was a drum containing kerosene. So this drum now went on fire.
One woman who simply wishes to be identified as Madam Miracle narrowly escaped the explosion, while another young girl escaped with non-life-threatening injuries.
Just 5 minutes, I was about to enter house. They said, "Madam, where are you? Come." Fire, fire, fire. Your shop has burnt. A woman with pregnancy died. They pushed her inside gutter. Still, she did not make it. Although police people, they tried so much. Even the fire service people, immediately we called them, they came. Throughout, we were in the market till 11.
As I was sitting here selling plantain, then the thing has sparked from here. Then I know this wire now cut, then thing now touched my hand. Then I run and left. It's even my leg that I left, all the victim born. I don't know how I managed again.
This family is, however, not so fortunate and are too heartbroken to speak after losing their 17-year-old daughter to the fire. One of the residents believes there's more to the explosion.
The kerosene is an adulterated kerosene, and that's why it raises up inflation. If you went out there, there's no how a kerosene, a tank will catch fire, ordinary kerosene, and it will raise up. It's only gas, inflamed gas, or a fuel that will have such reaction.
Some of the residents say the tank was initially used to store petrol and wasn't properly washed before being used to store kerosene. As the residents continue to raise questions about the content of the tank, whether it was just kerosene or was probably mixed with another fuel, an impending danger lies some meters from the point of the explosion. It's another kerosene tank next to a transformer. This is also the concern of the FCT Minister for State after observing the extent of the damage.
Prompt action will be taken. Committee will also be set and put in place to spring into action. Because as we sit, I can still see some kerosene tank across. Please, let's avoid keeping them near, crowded areas like this. And we'll look into it to see those who are actually licensed.
She then pays a visit to the Kubwa General Hospital to see some of the injured victims. Family members of some of the survivors hang around in groups at the trauma center of the National Hospital, praying and hoping for the best for their loved ones. Beyond that, their family members are concerned about how to pay the hospital bill.
The major problem we are facing now is the financial aspect. Like me personally, as I'm standing, I don't have money. And the medicine they wrote for us this morning, I bought about 29,000 something, and I will still have to buy another one, which is about 40,000 naira. And I'm standing here now, I'm koboless.
The Minister of State for FCT is the latest visitor to the victims. She's taken round by the management of the hospital. She seems impressed with the level of care given to the victims, adding that the government is already taking care of the hospital bill.
The treatment to the patients actually today I would say is commendable. We've seen a remarkable improvement in those with lesser degrees. We've lost two. One about 98 degrees and the other one also above 90. We've been paying some bills already. We've been footing some bills, and then there are little things that they might also call them to go and get, which is not out of the way. But even now, as it is personally, we also, donated at least to their personal purses for logistics and these little things they might need to buy, from time to time. And then for the medications too, we are synergizing with the hospital, and some of the bills are also getting transferred to us already.
Some victims are receiving medical care at the intensive care unit, and the hospital management hopes that the victims recover in due time.
Those with lesser degree of burns are responding very well. Then those that still have percentage above 50, 70, we are still trying our best on them. Their own pace of recovery, of course, will be lower than those ones with lesser degree.
These relatives have received the good news, and that is a promise by the FCT administration to cater for the hospital bill. Nevertheless, it will give them more joy to see their relatives back on their feet.
My guest on the program is no stranger to disasters, both natural and man-made. He tells us that the problem with fires like this one in Kubwa is one word: people. We the people do not like rules. The fire, he says, was preventable if only someone did their job and that the people understood that this difficult job was for their safety. Mr. Idris, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you for having me once again.
The fire incident in Kubwa has left a lot of us up in arms. Has there been any update as to what caused this explosion? Because the conspiracy theories online are so many. Oh, a pipe fell. Oh, someone smoked a cigarette on the way. Oh, it was adulterated petrol. Oh, it was adulterated kerosene. What's the update on what caused this particular fire?
The proximate cause of that fire was as a result of a blast of the transformer. The transformer blasted, and then I think it's the jumper that cut off, and then the wire fell down on a lady called Queen, but she didn't die. She's alive, and so she doesn't even know there was explosion because they rushed her to the hospital. The cable fell on the tank, the surface tank for the cable, and because of the heat, it now ignited a fire and there was an explosion. But to be honest, from the discreet investigation we carried out, there was nothing adulterated kerosene there, yes.
Was there anything that could have been done to stop this from happening?
Well,
was the kerosene tank supposed to be in a place that is that populated, for instance?
Absolutely, it's not supposed to be there. We have been telling the public that they shouldn't mix, especially the marketers, that they should try as much as possible to segment the market. There should be areas where they should have such
type of products, especially inflammable products. Yes.
Exactly, inflammable products.
Because that part, because for those who don't know, that part is at the market.
Yes, and anywhere you go, you see that you see somebody with cooking gas, because maybe she's cooking to sell food there, and then you see a textile dealer, you see a lot of things differently. Instead of segmenting the market to make sure that these are the areas for this and that. If you have, those restaurants and where inflammables are, things are, there should be also a demarcation between the main market and just leave an exit and entry point so that it will not affect, even if there is fire there, it will not affect the other side. But we jam-pack everything. And if you look at this one, they are even on the main road. They are even on the main road. And so a lot of people came out from the main market and display their products around that area.
For people who don't know, that part of Kubwa is a Kubwa village.
Yes.
And it's a very crowded
area.
Very
crowded area.
Incredibly crowded area.
Very crowded.
And with very bad routes.
Exactly.
With very bad routes.
Exactly.
You know, but this isn't the first time we're hearing about this sort of disaster. In places that are even more organized, like Gwarimpa, we had 2 fires.
Yes.
In Gwarimpa.
Yes.
Talk to us about, this situation. The Harmattan is coming. It's almost here.
The Harmattan
and we know how it is in this part of the country. There are so many fires that happen around this time of the year. What's your office doing to ensure that this is not a recurrent? I think most of our conversations really circle around this, really. How do we make sure that we don't have the same story? I don't want to sit here with you again next year having a conversation. Because when the Gwarimpa fire happened, yes, we had this conversation. And now here we are with the Kubwa fire. And Harmattan is coming. We don't want to hear about another fire again.
And you know what? The problem we are having is that I don't even know, because we have been carrying out sensitization in the markets.
When you say sensitization, what do you mean? You're talking to people?
And then talking to the marketers, talking to the market authority, and telling them these are the equipments, the basic fire defense equipment that you can install. These are the things that how you can organize your market. We inspect those markets. With the exception of the model markets in Abuja, there's none that is really segmented and really demarcated the way it is expected based on risk assessment and risk management. If you go to the model markets built earlier on, you find out that they even have fire stations, all the model markets in the districts. But the old markets and those emerging markets in the satellite towns, they just jam-pack themselves, and then and now it's coming to the end of the year. Most market fires are at this during the ember periods.
With the economy and
but
with everything going on, most people would favor markets
informal
that are
markets.
Yes, informal markets, and the reason is that things are cheaper there.
But most
because
times,
they don't have to pay these heavy costs.
But most
for
times
people,
the fire
that people have to pay in organized markets.
Most times the fires start in the night. So that means the marketers also are contributing to the fire, because most of them sleeps in the market. They cook in the market.
They rent out sheds to people.
To even people.
What places have you mapped out for these demolitions?
Many.
So let's hear now. Tell us some of these places so that the people who are there.
I'm not in the team of. There is a task force set for that purpose, and they are going. And I don't want to really preempt what they are doing.
So basically, if you're selling in an informal market in Abuja, they're coming for you.
They are coming for. Especially if you are selling those inflammable things mixed together with other things in a place that is not designated for that, definitely you are going to pack out. And if you get to Gorimpa now, you will see that it's sanitized. It's sanitized.
Although it has been something that has worried me for quite a bit, because you would go, one thing that I think about, I don't use kerosene, but I use gas. And sometimes you see these people who sell gas informally all over the streets.
No, we have taken census of all the informal, those selling gas in the FCT. We were able to identify those with license. We were able to identify those without license. But we are calling on the public, general public. You don't just wake up in the morning and see somebody putting a rack in front of your house or by your fence selling gas, and you keep quiet. You report such person to the relevant authority, because you are endangering your life. So you don't allow them. We have the statistics, the data of all those that are licensed and where they're supposed to be. So anybody, because gas explosion is very dangerous. It's going to be very, very dangerous if it happens. When it happens at Nasarawa, you know what it was. We had to go to Nasarawa, sympathize with them, and understudy what really happened, so that, because Nasarawa and Abuja is the same thing. If it happens at Nyanya or Mararaba, what's the difference between Mararaba and Abuja, Nasarawa and Abuja in that extent? So we really need to work. It is a teamwork. The entire FCT community has to come up and fight this kind of menace.
Good luck with the work that you do, and we hope to see you very soon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
What do you do with a freak accident? You find who dropped the ball and make that person pay. It's not about the money, it's the principle. All that power comes with so much responsibility. So if you're in charge of maintaining a standard, be on your toes. This anyhowness that has become associated with us as a people has to stop. It's affecting governance, affecting our daily lives, destroying our reputation around the world, and discouraging investors. What is wrong with doing the right thing? Look now, 10 people are dead. Why? Kerosene was stored and sold in a rowdy environment prone to accidents. There's a reason city organizers insist that certain businesses be in clusters. No, it's not because the government hates you. It's for better city planning, better governance, and most of the time, it is done to keep you safe. There are standards for every single thing on this planet. And I'll be honest with you, most of the time, when disasters happen, check it, a standard was dropped. I know that some of you are saying right now, God is in control. Yes, he is. However, while he does his job, let's do ours. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.